Good afternoon. We are back here live from the Lake Superior Paracon right here in Thunder Bay, Ontario. The afternoon has been electric. A lot of amazing people, getting to meet all kinds of great people. And right now, I am here with Chris Rutkowski from the
Ufology research
Ufology Research in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Chris, how's it going? It's good to meet you. I mean, UFO has been a really big part of me and Michael John's journey so far as coming back that he's an experiencer himself. So we were just 2 weeks ago, we were up at the UFO Contact Convention in Holton Lake, Michigan.
Okay, yeah.
So what got you into UFOs? Like, where did this all begin with you?
Well, my background's in astronomy. I have degrees in astronomy and education. And when I was in my first year of astronomy, there were a lot of UFO reports that were being phoned into the university's astronomy department. And my profs hated UFOs. They say, it's all people are making stuff up, or they're crazy, or, all the usual stuff.
Right.
So I said, I wanted to suck up to them real big. So I said, my Carol's where I'm studying is right around the corner. A phone call comes in to report a UFO. Just let me know, and I'll take it from you. And they started doing that. And I ended up talking with people right across, not just Manitoba, but into northwestern Ontario, into the States even. And I said, I can explain a good chunk of these,
right?
But there's some cases I don't know. People just wanted to talk, and they turned out not to be planes and stars and planets and all that sort of stuff. I didn't know what they were. And I was about like a year later, and one of the other profs invited me to speak in a crowd at the University of Manitoba. So I ended up talking to 500 people, telling them what I had heard. Before you know it, people are saying, write about it. So I started my first book, and I've got 10 books now about UFOs and unusual phenomena. So it's intriguing to me from a scientific perspective. Not quite enough proof to say the aliens are here, but enough proof to say there's something going on. And what I do a lot of now is talk with scientists and say, this is why I think you should be studying the UFO phenomenon a little bit more. And so I talk with physicists and other astronomers, and I go to scientific conferences as well as paranormal conferences. Just sort of, hey, let's talk a little bit more about this.
So you yourself, have you ever had a UFO experience?
I've never seen anything. I've been out on UFO watches, where somebody would say, we see it every night. And I'd go out and nothing shouts, right? But I've never actually seen anything. But I've talked with pilots. I've talked with RCMP, air traffic controllers, people who are good observers, know what's in the sky, and they don't know what it is. And I have the advantage of getting the government UFO reports from the Canadian government of all the cases that are being reported. So you've heard about this disclosure stuff.
Yeah.
Well, not so much, because I get the reports already.
Right.
So we have a complete record of UFOs in Canada from 1947 to now.
Okay.
And there's interesting cases. What more can you say?
So, over the last couple of years, as we've been dabbling more and more into the UFO phenomenon, do you think there is a link between UFOs and Sasquatch?
UFOs and Sasquatch. I can tell you one interesting case that happened that really showed the crossover. It was 1976. I'm really that old, so I've investigated.
I was 5.
Yeah.
I was watching Bigfoot on Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. And this one couple had said that they had seen what they described as a Ferris wheel in the sky, a big wheel with colored lights, and it was moving slowly over the sky. And I went and talked with them at their farm, and I said, can you point out where this was? And, it's a real investigation. And they said, yeah, it was right over there in that direction behind those trees, where the Sasquatch was seen. I said, what? They said, yeah.
Well, you failed to mention that.
Yeah. And it turns out that there was a First Nations reserve that had a corner of the property about maybe 10 kilometers away. And somebody had seen a Sasquatch that same night but even better. And I said, well, where exactly is that? And they said, how do I get to that place? And they said, okay, you take this road and you go down the highway to where the cemetery is, where the ghost lights are seen. And then you hang a right. It's like ghost lights.
Wait a minute. We're crossing too many boundaries here.
And I said, that's why I started investigating the whole thing. I started out doing ghost walks, investigating haunted houses and buildings. I've been on squatch hunts. I've gone out to lakes where lake monsters have been seen. I was out talking with master anglers who said, we saw this thing, with the head coming out of the lake, and that wasn't a sturgeon or anything. And the UFO stuff.
Yeah.
And do it from a scientific perspective. I need the date, location, time. Tell me more. Is there any evidence left behind? Were there any other witnesses? What else do we know? And I want to document this so that I can say to the scientist, this is what was seen.
Right.
We know that this happened. We have 10 other reports. What should we do about this?
Yeah, and I mean exactly, and it's like, and I know with the crowd that we run around with, their clear message is, if you believe you've had exciting, to report it, and this is the only way that you as a researcher is going to be able to learn more about sightings, places it happens, and frequencies.
Yeah.
Because if you get 1-2 reports a year, now we know that is not true. Like, they're usually come in the hundreds, by cases. So I'm going to ask you one more thing. Like, the majority of UFO sightings, I always hear that they're close to water. How true would you think that is?
It's not always true, and part of that is geography. I get a lot of sightings from Saskatchewan, for example. Not so big on water, but where we're here in Thunder Bay, we get reports from here. So there's an association, and we know that the statistics show that there's a relationship between the number of people, like a population, and the number of reports, which makes sense. If you have a lot more people, they will have more reports come from them. But you look at where the population is in Canada, Toronto, Vancouver, water.
Right.
But statistically, there's actually more reports in Atlantic Canada, more water, but there's more reports per capita. In other words, that doesn't have the population that Toronto has, but there's more reports than they should.
Right.
So is that related to water or something else? It's hard to tell.
Rural areas.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. So if somebody has or believes they have something to report, how would they be able to get a report through to you?
Yeah, I put together something called the Canadian UFO Survey every year. I gather all the reports from all the sources, everybody who's investigating, from the government and from everybody else. And it turns out there's about 500 to 1,000 reports in Canada every year. And it's a little tricky to actually make a report. There's groups all over the place. People probably know of this MUFON.
Yep.
But there's also groups in Quebec, there's independent groups in BC. So I gather them all together. The easiest way, believe it or not, is to send them directly to the Canadian UFO Survey. And it's simply CanadianUFOReport.com. All one word, CanadianUFOReport.com. And there's a link there to report your UFO, and it goes directly into our database.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chris. Before I let you go, so you've got 10 books out there. If somebody's interested in picking up one of your books, where's the best place to find your books?
Amazon. Look me up, Chris Rutkowski.
There you go. Amazon is the key to getting all kinds of books. I appreciate you taking your time to speak with us. We look forward to talking to you more down the road. There you have it, folks. Check him out. Get one of his books. If you're into the phenomenon of UFO, or you've had an experience, or you believe, reach out to him and just see what it is, because you never know what's happening out there.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Dale. Great.
Thank you so much. So, folks, we are going to be back just a little bit later on. In the meantime, and in between time, we say is happy hauntings.